praisefowwowe.com.
Happy Father's Day to all the amazing fathers across the globe. Wherever you're joining this broadcast from, I want to say thank you very much for all you do. We know what fatherhood is all about. We know the father is a source. And we know that if there's any endangered species in our world today, it is the father. And so today, I'm going to be talking about something very important within the short time frame that I have, that we are hiring. We actually in need of your father. Exactly is your father, because when the purpose of fatherhood is not understood, abnormal use is going to be inevitable. And so when we think about fatherhood in our world today, we think of that guy, that superman, that macho man who never cries, who's got six packs, who owns 9 digits, who owns 7 estates, perfect, flies first class with ownership of a private jet, will be at an advantage. Okay, someone who can flaunt a child, amazing war chest, super executive award winner, and then we want a touch of godliness, right? And so that's the super dad that everyone longs for. And no one is thinking about the boy child that grows to become the man who becomes the father eventually, right? And so want someone who is a perfect figure, who never goes through crisis, who never goes through problem. And that's why when fatherhood fails, a lot of things go out of order. When you look at a lot of children who were traumatized, you can always trace it to something that happened in their upbringing. A lot of children dealing with low self-esteem, a lot of adults who are even traumatized. You could literally see what happens when a father figure is absent from their lives. And also, you could see the people who have got good fathers, who have got great fathers, and you could see the confidence and the level of sound esteem that they exude. And so, when we talk about fatherhood, fatherhood is the word source. It means a source from which something comes. And so I'm just going to shortly talk to you about who a father is. And so I'm going to use the Lord's Prayer. Many of you Christians know the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Now, when you look at those words as narrated by Jesus Christ, you will see that in there encapsulates the whole concept and the entire framework of fatherhood. And so we start with our Father, which means it's a collective source. It means if you want to be a father, you're not just going to be a father to your children. You're going to be a source, because fatherhood is the word in Hebrew, which means the source. But the source has now got to be defined. And so it starts with our Father, which means that it's not just for you to take care of the children that come out of your loins. You have to be responsible for all the children who are not necessarily from your loins. So it means you must have the bandwidth and the capacity to produce inspiration, to produce that, provide direction, and provide a source of honor, not a source of pain. Because when fatherhood is out of order, a great father with great potential can become a source of pain. So are you a source of pain, a source of joy, or a source of love? What oozes out of you when you're interacting with your children? Are you a father, who destroys your children, or you are someone who gives them sound esteem, who is always there to let them know that they can become anything they want to become? Now, next is who in every father must have a domain. Right? And so what it means is you must have a particular address, maybe a particular sector where we can trace you to. Our Father who art in heaven, the ultimate Father is in heaven. So we ask, where are you? Is it our Father who is in the beer parlor, or our Father, who is inspiring, an entire generation? Our Father who is in the health sector, making things happen. Our Father who, is an accountant who balances people's books. Or our Father who is in the tech space, creating innovation that makes the world a better place, right? And so when your children want to think about where you work or what you do or the sector you affect, what do they have to say? Where is your domain? Number 3, hallowed be your name. Talks about credibility. When your name is mentioned as a father, what do people have to say? Do they make sneering remark? Is your name honorable? Is your name hallowed? Or when they mention your name, they think of that guy who is just highly responsible. They think of that person who never had any value to humanity, but adds pain to everyone that comes, that everyone that comes your way, they always leave you in pain, or they always leave you worse than they were when they met you. So hallowed be, what's the creator of your name? Every father needs to know that your name must be able to open doors. Your name should not shut doors against your children. That's why a good man leaves inheritance for his children's children. So what is the credibility of your name as a father? Then thy kingdom come. That talks about influence. A father is someone who got influence to position the children, to position his wife, because your job is to give flight to the wings of everyone that comes out of you. And so when your child has a need, do you have enough network to be able to say, okay, go somewhere and mention your name and doors will open? And that's why, as a father, you need to espouse that role and ensure that everything you do speaks to your father. That talks about influence. Now, that will be done on that talks about purpose and alignment. Every father must understand purpose. Dr. Miles Monroe said, when the purpose of a thing is understood, abuse is inevitable. And then, that will be done on earth as it is in heaven, which means there must be alignment between you and the will of God in heaven. So you want to ask as a father, what is the will of God concerning us as a family? What is the will of God concerning my nation, concerning my sector? And that's why when you're out of touch with the ultimate Father in heaven, then you realize that you will live life anyhow, you do things anyhow. And that's where many of us miss it. That's what we need to get back to as fathers. We need to get back into alignment with God and understand what his purpose is for your family and for your children. Then he goes further to talk about, give us this day our daily bread. A father provides provision. You need to be that father who provides for your children, and kind of father, starves your children and expose them to all sorts of temptation, wherein they get into prostitution to even take care of you. So you must be able to provide as a father. I mean, this is literally your role description. Now, give us this deliberate and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive trespass against us. A father is a heart that is willing to forgive before the offense is committed. So no father holds malice against the child. No father, no matter how bad your child is, you want to think of how to get a child back on track. And so you need to know that every time a child is misbehaving, you can trace it to a non-discovery of or a non-remembrance of self. When your child forgets who he is, he would mess up. When your child does not know who he is, he's likely going to mess up. And so you want to forgive, to know that you are in a vantage position to see the totality, to know that no child just wakes up to say, I want to misbehave. And so when even that's going to be painful, when a child begins to misbehave, but you must forgive. And then it says, lead us not in temptation, which talks about security, that you must be solid enough that no matter what happens outside, your children can run to you and they can open up to you about what they're dealing with. When your children begin to run away from you or hide from you, you have lost your fatherhood edge. Maybe you become the lion of the tribe of the family. And so you need to know that you must be solid, must hold them emotionally accountable, wherein they are not led into temptation to go and steal. They're not led to contentment, must be modeled and taught, where they're not led to get prostitution, which means you need to get in the groove and protect your girl child, which means you have to be solid enough for them to know that, even if we don't have enough, I am contented because I have a father who takes care of me. Lead us not and deliver us from the evil, which means you need to ensure that you can proactively, think of what is likely going to go wrong and then shield your children away from that. And so the questions are you a collective source? Are you taking responsibility for other people? Do you have a domain? Is your name credible? What is your level of influence? What is your purpose and what is your alignment with God the Father? Do you provide for your children? Do you easily forgive even before the offense is committed? Are you someone who provides security, or your children are led into temptation because you are not fulfilling the role? The two questions you must ask today is, what must I stop and what must I start? Our world is in their need of true fathers who can become a source of hope and inspiration to the younger generation. I want to say happy Father's Day to all of you. I see what you do. I know it's never easy, especially in this age and time, but I want you to pat yourself on the back and say, well done to you. You may not have done it appropriately or accurately, like many of us fall short, but I want you to keep believing that you've got that role and you're going to act it out perfectly and make it work for generations unborn. I want to appreciate you and I want to say thank you very much for joining me. Happy Father's Day all the supermen out there. And it's okay to cry as a father. And it's okay not to be okay sometimes, but you have to keep believing and you have to cry for help. That's what fathers do. I love you and I celebrate you. Happy Father's Day to you.
I am praisefowowe.com.